We've been spending the past week driving this Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392 with the Xtreme Recon Package, and it certainly is a lot of fun, but it's not perfect. So we're going to talk about the things that I loved and hated about the Wrangler 392. But first, here's one of the best parts of the 392, the sound. Remote start. Yeah. All right, let's go. First, let's cover some of the basics of what the Wrangler 392 is. 392 refers to the engine, a 6.4-liter Hemi V8 that makes 470 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque. Yes, Jeep finally did it. They put a V8 in the Wrangler from the factory. What is the Xtreme Recon Package? Well, it brings larger wheels and tires, 35-inch tires now. It brings a suspension lift and other associated upgrades that makes this the most capable, the most extreme, hence the Xtreme Recon Package, of all the Wranglers. And when you couple it with that 392 V8, it is certainly one of the most fun versions of the Wrangler for sure. So that 470 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque are certainly good, and that's one of my favorite parts of the Wrangler 392 is the performance. That is one of the best parts of the Wrangler 392, without a doubt, the sound and performance. Let's talk about the sound first. To me, as an automotive enthusiast, noise is a really big part of the experience, especially true for sports cars, but obviously true for a Wrangler that has a Hemi 6.4-liter V8 in it. And this has a active exhaust, a performance exhaust that you control with a button on the dash. You can turn it on or off. When it's off, I mean, it's reasonable. It subdues it quite a bit, but you can still hear it has a V8, so we can turn it off, and it quiets down a bit. Once we turn the performance exhaust on, the rumble just sitting there idling begins, and when you get on it, it's awesome. Holy crap, is it awesome. It's got quad exhaust tips out back, nothing fancy, no like chrome tips or anything. It's purely functional back there, but with the valves open, this thing is properly loud. When I cold start it, the rumble will shake the house through the garage, and it just sounds like you would expect a 6.4-liter Hemi V8 to sound. It makes you giggle, it makes you smile. You're just like, oh my gosh. That on its own might completely sell me on getting a Wrangler 392. Just the rumble of the engine and the performance exhaust. That I love. Tied with that is the performance that you get from that awesome sounding 6.4-liter Hemi V8. The 0 to 60 time is supposed to be right at 4 seconds, which, given the size and height and everything, this is a Wrangler Rubicon. You're like, what in the world? It's faster than you expect a Jeep to actually be able to do. It tops out at 112 miles an hour, mainly because of the tires. That's very limited. The 35-inch BF Goodrich tires are not rated for on-road top speed handling, that type of stuff. So through the quarter mile, you're pretty much topped out. But around town, getting to highway merging speeds, randomly flooring it and doing fun stuff, this is plenty of performance. It is a full-time four-wheel drive system. There is no two-wheel drive option. You need it to get that power down without a single doubt. Tying on to one of my favorite parts, this is something else I love. We have this Off-Road Plus mode. There's a button right above the sway bar disconnect button here on the center dash. And what Off-Road Plus does is it kind of sharpens everything. It feels like a Sport Plus mode in like a sports car, but Off-Road Plus, obviously, because it's a Wrangler Rubicon, turns off traction control. It firms up the shifts with the paddle shifters. So we actually have metal paddle shifters here on the steering wheel. It will hold the gears longer if you're just in regular mode. It adds in like exhaust burble and crack to the 392, and it like makes it a whole different type of Jeep with the Off-Road Plus mode. So actually one of my friends who has one on order, Preston, and his brother Avery, were like, hey, you gotta check out the Off-Road Plus mode. And yes, I turned it on. At first time, actually, when I tried it, it was snowy out. I'm like, ooh, traction control off. Maybe I don't want to do that quite yet. With it dry out, it does disable traction control, but it like sharpens everything up, and it's hilarious. It also loads up your off-road pages, which takes a little bit of time through this Uconnect screen. So while that loads up and while we wait for the light to turn green, let's talk about some of the other differences that the 392 gets. We have visual differences, so it's taller, it's wider. This one has the Xtreme Recon Package, which brings 35-inch tires, an additional 1.5-inch suspension lift. Whew. Listen to these downshifts. So you can't quite drive it like you would drive a Hellcat or something. I just hit the rev limiter twice and it does cut off. Oh, another result there. I'm not being very efficient. We'll talk about that when we discuss some of the things I hate about it. But visually, we've got these bronze-colored wheels, also the bronze gold accents all over the Jeep, the 392 lettering on the hood, which has a functional intake, which has these valleys and channels and stuff, so it makes sure air doesn't get into your engine. It's extremely capable. Off-road suspension, the different suspension components. It looks really mean and aggressive. Obviously, it looks, I mean, with the Xtreme Recon Pack, it does look quite a bit more. But if you really think about how much does it differentiate from a regular Wrangler without the Xtreme Recon, it's just those subtle little touches. So I think you have to know what you're looking for. The quad exhaust tips out back and things like that. On the inside, it's pretty basic. So that's one of the things that I kind of don't love about the Wranglers is the interior is starting to show its age a little bit. I just spent some time with a Ford Bronco, and that interior is much more updated. Huge sync screen. The off-road pages screen is still loading. It just stuck on please wait right now. So this Uconnect screen is starting to look quite a bit small. The features are there. We've got heated seats, heated steering wheel, but that's pretty much it. It's not the most comfortable, not the most spacious. Center cluster has a digital screen in the middle with analog tachometer and speedometer. Driving dynamics is something I hate about Jeep Wranglers. They wander a lot on the road. They're really noisy, wind noise, tire noise, and so forth. They're just not the most comfortable and refined. But that's the problem. That's not what they're for. Please do not buy a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon with an intention of being a comfortable highway cruiser. I did a road trip back to Michigan from Chicago and a Wrangler Rubicon 4xe, and it was exhausting because you're constantly having to center if it's windy out. It's not helped by even bigger wheels and tires. These 35-inch tires are not road friendly at all. I'm actually kind of impressed. They're not the most noisy in the world. I've been in some aftermarket Jeeps that are the tire noise is overwhelming, but it's just not the best place to be. Handling is not good. We threw a V8 in here, but doesn't mean this is like your autocross Jeep Wrangler. That is the biggest oxymoron in the automotive world, probably, an autocross Jeep Wrangler. But like, I can do this with the steering wheel, and it wiggles a little bit, but it pretty much is just tracking straight. So you're gonna have to do a lot of corrections all the time in terms of steering. It is pretty windy and drafty too, with this one-touch sky rooftop thing. It's like a $4,000 convertible top, effectively. Doesn't have the most sound insulated experience, so that is a downside. It is catastrophically thirsty too. The fuel economy ratings are theoretical ratings because I am not getting anything close to that. Yes, I have a lead foot. Yes, this is 470 horsepower Hemi V8, so I'm driving like an idiot all the time, as you've observed during this video. But I'm averaging 11.4 mpg over the last 175 miles. 11.4 is pretty bad. Yeah, but you're getting a Wrangler 392. Don't come into this expecting it to be efficient, but still, 11.4 is pretty poor, but it's also because I probably keep doing this. We should talk about the price and the value. So the Wrangler 392 starts at just under $75,000. This one here is option up to $83,800, just under $84,000, so mid-80s. We do have the Xtreme Recon Pack, which costs just under $4,000, I believe, the one-touch roof there. So they're in the mid-80s. The problem is the market demand and therefore the market value and the markup that these have met with, if you get one for 90s is a pretty good deal. I think I've seen some of these go for effectively $100,000. So $100,000 for a Jeep Wrangler is a lot. You would be more comfortable driving on the highway in a Jeep Cherokee probably, but you would not have anywhere close to the grins that this thing can provide. So value is very hard to justify in something that already is $80-something thousand. Like, that is $30,000-$40,000 more than a decently well-optioned regular Wrangler with a pedestrian Pentastar V6, or maybe even the Eco Diesel, or for sure the 2-liter. Like, it's a lot more money. Will they ever make something like this again? Probably not. Will Ford ever do it to the Bronco? I don't think so, because look at the Bronco Raptor they just announced. That one is still going to be EcoBoost V6. Jeep went ahead and just went, hey guys, we're going to put the 392 V8 in a Wrangler and give it 35s. I'm sure the Xtreme Recon Package was almost a direct result of the Sasquatch pack from Ford, which is available in all the Bronco trims, but there is no way you can get a Bronco with this noise. They don't offer that. I spent some time with a 2.7 EcoBoost. It was all right, but it had nothing close to the charisma and the character and just the overall absurdity of this Wrangler 392. So the value, very hard to quantify. Is this comparable to the aftermarket options? There are companies, think about AMW 4x4, America's Most Wanted. There are a lot of companies, AAV, who have done Hemi swaps as an aftermarket option, even Hellcat swaps, and they will do that, but that's not designed from the factory. It doesn't come back with the same Jeep OEM warranty and things like that too. So if that's what you're looking for, I personally really like having just an OEM developed vehicle, the complete package, because they go through all of everything. Aftermarket companies have different processes and things like that. So would I buy one? I mean, if I had a lot of extra money, absolutely. I did get to off-road a Wrangler 392, and it was capable. It did everything fine. It felt tiny compared to the TRX I got out of afterwards, because it actually would fit through the trees, and I was like, don't scrape the fenders when I was in a TRX, because that thing is enormous. It was without a doubt the most fun truck that we had to off-road on the course up at Road America, and it was plenty capable. It's a Rubicon, which is even more capable with the Xtreme Recon Package, so that all makes a bunch of sense. I think those who are looking at one of these already know what it is like and why they want one, and because they can. They're spending a lot of money on a toy that is capable off-road. How many will take them off-road? Not sure. They know it's not going to be the best type of thing on road. They know it's going to be horrendously inefficient, but they know it's going to put a big grin on their face because that's what they want, right? And if that's what you know you want, go grab a Wrangler 392, because the world of internal combustion engines is very quickly being superseded by hybrids and EVs, and I did get to experience a hybrid/EV Jeep with the 4xe, and it wasn't as fun as this. I could tell you that for sure. It was not as fun. But there it is, the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392 with the Xtreme Recon Package. Make sure you also go check out my Living With vlog, which is a more informal behind the scenes, just documenting a week spent with this Wrangler 392. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.